it's yours to dish. How about a little more baklava? Have some of column A, try all of column B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't ever had a friend like me.
What's up everyone, it's Austin here from Austin Hall Audio and Visual and Make Pop Music, and today we are going to be mixing two things that I love dearly: classic Disney music and trap music. But before we actually hop into why you're here, I do have a really quick and important announcement to make. We just launched a brand new course that is the full pop production course, and this is basically a 3.5-hour course. It's got 10 videos, stems, samples, presets, yada yada yada, everything you need. And what we do in this course is we start with a blank session, have nothing there, and then we actually build an entire instrumental through a 3.5-minute song. So we work on writing the chord progression, doing the sound design, how to make verses, how to make hooks, how to do all of these different things. And by the time we're done with the end of the 3.5-hour video, we have a full song on our canvas, so you can see every kind of decision, every method, every technique that I use to go from a blank session all the way up to a fully produced instrumental. We don't go into the top line and the mixing and stuff like that because we have separate videos on that. But if you specifically want to see kind of how I produce and all of the decisions I make, this is the course for you. Right now, until the end of the first weekend, it's actually on sale for $40. After this, it's going up to $50, which is still a super good deal for a 3.5-hour course with all of the project stems, sessions, everything like that. So if you have any questions about it, let us know in the comments below and we can answer you back. We're really excited about it. We know you guys have wanted to see a full-length production course for a while now, so we're really excited to actually bring that to you. But without further ado, let's actually talk about why you're here for this video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I turned a classic Disney song, Friend Like Me from Aladdin, into an absolute trap banger. I did this song for my good friends the Lost Bros. If you don't know who they are, they're a company that makes theme park and pop culture inspired clothing, accessories, home items, all kinds of good stuff. They're really sick. We'll leave their information in the description below if you want to go check them out. Definitely let them know that we sent you and support them. But they wanted to kind of make some Disney covers just to send out to their fan base to, you know, tie in some music and some clothing. So of course they came to me and we just made this song and a few others. So I'll link the song in the description below, and if you want to listen to anything else by them, it'll be on their Spotify. But let's actually hop into the session so I can show you exactly what I did with Friend Like Me and how I made that just an absolute trap track. All right, now we're in the session. So I'm going to do what we did for the last video, which is where we start with kind of a blank session and I go track by track and show you everything as we kind of add it. That way it's not overwhelming to look at. So of course with Friend Like Me, the thing that we really had to focus on was getting the vocal melody right, and then getting kind of all of the what normally would be like orchestration right. So I didn't want to do a whole orchestra kind of composition just because it didn't really fit with the genre at all. It didn't really fit with the vibe we were going for. We started this out doing like a Panic at the Disco style version of this, and it just was not working. So the first thing that of course we did was figured out what we were going to be adding. So we have like this crushed piano and this big piano right here. And these are kind of the general things that you would be hearing played on like the brass and the piano in the actual song. And so we have these, and this is just printed already with some reverb and some extra compression. And then the big one is just, you know, we scooped a little bit of low end out, boosted the top end quite a bit. So here's actually where the song starts. So you can hear that like some of the song, these two play in unison, and then we get to other parts where so that's why I have one crushed and one not so crushed, is because when parts like that start to come in, I want to make sure that we're able to distinguish those two from each other. And then we wanted to go ahead and add these kind of main keys right here. So that's where you start getting that really nice top melody. And this is just using Dream Machine, Interstellar. I don't think we even did anything to this besides scooping out some low end and boosting some high end. So we've got this all now together. And I know right now it doesn't really sound like too much at all, but you'll see as we start adding stuff, you'll start really feeling it. So we've got this high pluck that we kind of layered over it, which is basically the same thing, just boosted up an octave. And this is a preset called Ethereal Celesta, which is just from one of the cymatics packs. I don't even remember which one maybe one of their free packs actually. And it's pretty cool. It's just like basically this kind of altered sine wave. It's like a bit crushy sine wave that is synced up quite a bit. And then just driving the hyper, driving the reverb, and driving the delay, just so we get that nice kind of filtered pluck. Then at this point, we're starting to get the gist of everything. So I wanted to go ahead and start adding the kick and the snare. And then the next thing was like we really needed some movement. So I added these two different hi-hat loops, and you'll be able to kind of hear one is pan to the left, one is pan to the right, and they work kind of in conjunction with each other. So I wanted a lot of movement because the actual composition of the original version is just so busy. But with a trap composition, we can't have it be overly busy with a lot of orchestral stuff. We can't have tons of horns and violins and flutes and stuff like that, just because it wouldn't really work in terms of like soundscape. So I wanted to go ahead and add some hi-hats to take a little bit of that room away and kind of add that trap feeling. So we've got that hat on the left, and then we've got this one on the right. And then I mix them both together because the one on the left is very consistent. It's got that kind of ch-ch-ch-ch with some little stuff sprinkled in. And then the one on the right is much more chopped up. It's much more kind of syncopated and just a little bit different. And then at this point, I was like, okay, we need some 808s. So I went ahead and just started adding, yeah, right here. So we've got this 808 in here, and of course it's my beloved, you've seen me talk about it a million times, best 808. It's in one of the free sample packs, I can't remember which one. If you want to recreate it, it's literally just to add seconds with the wetness at 8, a bend at 13%, and then the compressor settings are right here if you want to recreate it. It's really doing nothing crazy. It's just like the absolute perfect clean 808 sound. So here we go. So that's the gist of the main song. So then we've got the vocals in here where we've got Cody going over top.
Well, Alibaba had them 40 thieves. Scheherazade had 1,000 tales. But master, you're in luck, cause up your sleeves you got a brand of magic never fails. You got some power in your corner now, some heavy ammunition in your camp. You got some punch, pizzazz, yeah, well.
Then we've got this little crushed ad-lib in here right here.
Ammunition in your camp. You got some punch, pizzazz, yeah, well. Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will you?
So let's go ahead and start adding some of the extra stuff in here now that I've shown you kind of how we got the most basic composition of it. So let's talk about this organ that we're going to add real quick, and then all the percussive stuff we'll go over in a second because it's nothing crazy. So we've got this organ over top. And I believe that this was the B3 from Arturia before I printed it. And then we're really doing nothing on it processing wise. Then I wanted to go ahead and just add this bigger bell that kind of comes in when we start having some of the more top melodies come in. And then this is just also the Interstellar patch, turned up a little bit. Reverb super high. Processing it, scooping out some lows, boosting some highs, basically doing the same thing as this top one. So here's them all together. So you get the gist of that one. Then we've got this little backup bell under here. That's basically just that layered over itself. And that is also just the ethereal Celesta. It's basically just these first two that we've made a whole nother track. That way we can have them kind of interacting with the original and doing a little bit of call and response. So these actually can get sorted to up here so you can kind of see how they call and respond back and forth to each other, especially in sections like this. Then we have them playing in unison in some of the parts where it needs to come in a little bit heavier. So let's see, is there any other stuff? There's just keys too, which this is just this right here. Again, just the interstellar patch, not really doing anything crazy, but this is just kind of playing the vocal melody that's going to be going over. So this was the intro of the song right here. Then instead of going into the first verse like the normal song would, you know, the well, Alibaba had them 30, we decided to kind of put the whoa, whoa kind of drop that we have later in the song earlier as kind of like this hook, just to really get the energy going right. So let's go ahead and look at the extra percussive stuff that we've added in that section. It doesn't really carry over to the first verse, so it's really easy to kind of skip by it. But we have this little riser right here. And then we've just got this crash right here from the Dark Pop pack. Then we've got this little top loop. Then we've got this little percussive loop in the back. And then this hey and this little riser. So all together, when the drums are all going kind of together, this is kind of what you're gonna get. And you can kind of see how we pull in elements and add elements throughout the song. So as we're going, you'll hear things start coming in. But that's all of the elements, and then they just need to be added. The only thing we also have is this little what over here.
Life is your restaurant.
And then this little drum fill right here.
Never had a friend like me. Yes, sir, we pride ourselves on sir.
So that's it for the percussion. You'll see how we kind of pull stuff out and then put it back in as the song goes. We wanted to make sure that we use the same elements throughout, but we weren't using the same elements the whole time. So really, we use the kick and the snare and these main hi-hat loops the whole time, and then we kind of sprinkle in some of these extra percussive elements. And same thing with a lot of the synths and stuff like that. So there is one more thing to add. There's this big brass that we have right here, and then let's go ahead and add all of the vocals. So there's a low vocal, an auto-tune vocal, and that's pretty much it. So for this intro, I don't think I'd said it earlier, but we're basically just filtering it up. There is Fab Filter on it. And then we've just got these little brasses under here. These are in Serum. These are from the Echo Soundworks Gray pack. Super, super sick pack. So that gave it that really, really kind of trap vibe, putting that underneath it. Let me mute these vocals so you can hear. And you can hear some of that call and response I was talking about earlier with these bells. So we've got like the da-da-da on the first two, and then we've got the dun-dun, which is really, really nice. Now we're actually into the verses. So let's go ahead and hear, there's just this little ad lib that we've got for the woes, because we wanted to make those, of course, fit with the whole trap vibe and trap aesthetic of the song. And of course, that is just a normal vocal chain. You've seen my vocal mix 100 times. just auto-tune driven, way up, and then we just also put on a really wet reverb and a really wet delay as an insert on the track. So here's that soloed out. It's really doing nothing crazy. And that's it. Then we have the main vocal coming in, those crushed ad-libs, and then we've got kind of a lower octave vocal that comes in from here to there.
You would never have a friend like me.
So now let's actually talk about, now that we've added all of the elements, just the progression of the song. So we'll kind of go from the beginning. So we've got the intro here into what I like to call like the hook of the song, which is where we just kind of paste the drop earlier.
Well, Alibaba had them 40.
So you can see here for the verse, we've pulled out that crash, we pulled out the loop, and we pulled out the other percussive loop. So now we've just got back to the main 2 hi-hats and the kick and snare.
Well, Alibaba had them 40 thieves. Scheherazade had 1,000 tales. But master, you're in luck, 'cause up your sleeves you got a brand of magic never fails.
Now in this part, Cody's gonna go up in his vocal. We end up adding this organ back in.
You got some power in your corner now. Some heavy ammunition in your can. You got some punch, pizzazz, yeah, who out. All you gotta do is run that ramp.
So for this part, we're adding in all of these little call and response bells right here. And then he's going up in his vocals. We've just added that little crushed ad-lib.
Mr. Aladdin, sir, what will your pleasure be? Let me take your order, jot it down. You would never have a friend like me.
We pulled in that low vocal right there to emphasize that line. Now we're gonna pull everything out for a second and add this little what.
Take your order, jot it down. You would never have a friend like me. Life is your rest.
So to me, that what just kind of acted as his own little ad-lib to fill that space right there, which I thought worked really well.
Me. Life is your restaurant, and I'm your maitre d'. Come and whisper what it is you want. You ain't never had a friend like me. Yes, sir.
So now we're going into kind of like the B section of this verse. So we've got this little riser and this little snare hit right here. And we bring that low vocal back in to emphasize this last line. And you can see that now we're gonna start adding in some of the extra percussion. So for this part, we start adding in this extra little top loop and this extra little kind of percussive loop.
Is you want, you ain't never had a friend like me. Yes, sir, we pride ourselves on service. You're the boss, the king, the shot. Say what you wish, it's yours to dish.
And for this part, I wanted to just have a little stop-start moment because I think that those add a lot of nice energy. So of course we have the crushed ad-lib to introduce that, and then you'll kind of hear what goes on.
What you wish, it's yours to dish. Have some color.
And again, just added that little whoops to kind of have like this little false start, which I think added really nice character. I'll kind of show you what it sounds like if we add it just on the actual downbeat. I didn't really like it. I think it added like this cool little like jump right before everything came back in.
Have some color, mate. Try all of color B. I'm in the mood to help you, dude. You ain't never had a friend like me.
So we have a riser into that little drum fill that we just duplicated. So it's just.
Never had a friend like me.
So then we go back to that drop, which is the same one that we pasted over here for kind of like a hook intro. And then let's see what we're going into next.
Can your friend?
So Disney music is really fun to try to make all these weird covers to, because A, they're using crazy scales that I'm not familiar with because they're mixing all of these different modes and interchanging shit all of the time, and my lack of music theory has completely fucked me on that. So I was just desperately trying to get everything right. And then you've got moments where they're coming in quarter notes off to where it just kind of drives. Because you gotta remember they're writing all of this to fit in a film, so it's going to a picture. But when I'm doing it, I want it to be true to the original song, but we have to make that transition a little bit easier. So you'll kind of hear that right here where we come in a bit early.
Can your friends do this? Whoa. Can your friends do that? Yeah. Can your friends pull this? Acrobat. After little
So those ad-libs are just the same as the whoa track that we have going throughout. We pulled out all of the hi-hats just because they've been going the whole song, so I wanted a little bit of kind of like a breakdown from that. And then we've just got these main keys that are still continuing. The crushed piano's not really doing anything, and the big piano's doing nothing whatsoever. So it's really just these little plugs. So this is kind of like the first breath of fresh air that we've had.
Can your friends do this? Whoa. Can your friends do that? Yeah. Can your friends pull this? Acrobat at their little head. Can your friends go poof? Hey.
Now we're adding in one of those extra hi-hat loops. And as you can see, we've got these little added bars here where it's kind of changing time signature. And I didn't change it in my DAW, which was probably dumb. But again, that's kind of beyond me theory-wise, so I was just like, let's roll with it. Then we finally get back kind of on track.
At their little head. Can your friends go poof? Hey, looky here. Can your friends go abracadabra, let her rip, and then make your sucker disappear?
And now we're going kind of into what is similar to the first verse. You'll hear it with the vocal melody. And then we're just bringing both of these little hi-hats back in.
So don't you sit there like the buggy. I'm here to answer all your midday prayers. You got me bona fide, certified. You got a genie fee, charge the fares. I got a powerful urge to help you out. So what you wish, I really want to know. You got a list that's 3 miles long, no doubt. Well, all you gotta do is rub like so.
Bringing in that riser, now we've got that little crash hit, and then we're bringing in the top loop and that extra percussive loop.
All you gotta do is rub like so. Mr. Aladdin, sir, have a wish or 2 or 3. I'm on the job, you a big nabob, you ain't never.
And you'll see that this part's a little full because we have the crushed piano coming back in, the main piano coming back in, this organ plays in for a little bit, and then we've got all of these little plugs. So this is probably one of the most full parts of the song beyond maybe that like, whoa, kind of drop. I would say that this is probably like the next hook.
That's 3 miles long, no doubt. Well, all you gotta do is rub like so. Mr. Aladdin, sir, have a wish or 2 or 3. I'm on the job, you a big nabob. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had.
And of course, for this part, we had to pull out all of these little hi-hats and stuff like that because we wanted to make it a little bit more stabby. So we pulled out the hi-hats, all of the little plugs just kind of trail off, and you'll see that we've got this really, really cool dynamic here.
On the job, you a big nabob. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend, never had a friend. You ain't never had a friend like
And that's pretty much it. We pull in that crash, we pull in all of those extra percussive loops, and then we have that little drum fill that we've had introduced a couple times before, kind of outro the entire song. So that's pretty much the entire production. These are the drums. These are the synths. Like I said, the synths, what we tried to do between like the bells, the crushed piano, the normal piano, and the organ was kind of divide that up into what would have been orchestral sections. So like a lot of the bells are things that would have been like the flutes and like the higher melody carrying instruments. And then we've got like the pianos and the organs that carry what would have been the pianos and like the plucky bass in the song because the song has kind of like this like jazzy plucked bass. So I really wanted to kind of keep all of those different kind of modes and textures that they're bringing with mixing all of the chords and the notes and everything between the instruments, but do it in a way that actually fit the genre that we were doing. So I had to really, really determine, well, bells are going to be kind of comparative to this in the original, piano is going to be comparative to this in the original, organ is going to be comparative to this in the original, and then we just added the 808s and the trap drums on top, and then had Cody lay down some vocals, and we wanted to keep the vocals super minimal, just because in the original, Robin Williams is basically just a one vocal track through the whole thing, so we wanted to keep that same vibe, add in some of these ad-libs and these little like extra vocal production stuff like the low vocal and the crushed ad-libs. And that's pretty much it. That's how we turned a classic Disney song into a modern day trap banger. And that's it. As you can see, I wanted to keep the production pretty minimal since we did want to just go absolute like crap on this. We wanted lots of 808s. The drums and 808s really do the main carrying. And then all of those little synths and pianos and stuff like that that are fillers are basically just kind of like the symphonic melody that would carry throughout the regular song. So Of course, the original is an absolute masterpiece. It's one of my favorite Disney songs, but I was really, really excited to actually put this in a style that I work in a little bit more. So it was really exciting. It was like meshing my two worlds together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you want to see me do more stuff like this, I've done a couple other songs for them that we can kind of dive into, or if you want to just see me do any more production breakdowns, as always, let us know what you guys want to see in the comments below. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. We really appreciate it. Go check out the new course that we just launched. We're really, really, really excited, and the more support we get, the more we can do, the more stuff we can make that you want to see. But that's going to be it for this video. Until next time, we will see you. Much love, make pop music. Peace out.